I wanted to close by bringing up something else here, and this is not relevant per se to the actual situation with Marilyn Manson or Evan Rachel Wood, except that I think it gives people more insight into your character and to where you're coming from. I don't want people to think that you are in any way supportive of actual abuse or any of the things that these women, I believe, are falsely accusing Manson of. And in fact, I think it's important to point out to people that you yourself are the victim of domestic violence and that you've been in an abusive relationship before.
I was, yeah. I sent you quite a lot of stuff, like from photos to screenshots of conversations and a video, various other things. I was with a man for 2 years, from 2018 to right before COVID happened. And, started off great. There were red flags that you obviously ignore because, you've got the the passion and the butterflies for this new person that's in your life. And if you're a completely stupid, hopeless romantic like I am, you're always like, okay, this is it. I've never felt this way about somebody before. I'm totally just nuts about this person. Um, but as time went on, there were very many things that I should have probably stopped the relationships in its tracks. Um, Mostly verbal mental abuse at that point, but um, soon it started. I'd say the sexual abuse started before anything. Like this person, I kind of have to disassociate a little bit talking about a little bit of the stuff because as you know, it can get quite disturbing. This person in particular, I'd say about 2 months into the relationship or so, I'm not going to get emotional right now. He would kind of force me. This is disturbing. We might want to put like a trigger
No,
warning or
you're
something.
fine. Yeah, okay.
Okay. He liked to smack me for one thing, and he knew I didn't like that, but I was like, oh, maybe he'll stop. The first time he did it, I jumped, and I was like, what the fuck was that about? And that alone should have been a red flag right there. But I remember the first time that all of this kind of happened was the smacking, and he would pick a fight with me if I asked him to stop smacking me, or he
Mm.
would do it harder. And the first time I should have stopped in my tracks, but I was like, oh, maybe this won't be so bad. As he had a fetish for making me vomit on him during oral sex.
Wow.
And at first I was like, oh, this is something new. And I'm not one to kink shame. I was like, sure, I'll try it. What the hell?
Right.
Why not? But then it just became something he expected me and would force me to do. I'd be crying, telling him it hurt. It hurt my
Mm.
throat. It hurt my stomach, and he would force me to do it, or he would, like I said, pick a fight with me. He'd be like, okay, well, we're done, I'm done
Mm.
with it, I'm going now. And he started telling me at one point, like, if you want me to be nice to you during sex, you have to let me abuse you first. And he smacked me so hard, he gave me black eyes on 2 occasions, one being Christmas Eve in 2018. He would bite me as hard as he could, and if I whimpered or I made a face, he would do it harder until I was just completely stoic and void of
Mm.
emotion.
You showed me
I would
some
have,
photos of some of this too. I mean,
yeah, like all of those are bite marks. Some of them are grabbing me. He would smack my stomach in public because I was quite a bit heavier. This was before I had like kind of gotten to the weight I am now. He would
mhm.
smack my stomach and tell me to suck it in public, and he almost knocked the wind out of me in front of people. He would always say, don't act like we're together, because he was just always, his thing he was obsessed with was threesomes, like, because his dream was to have two girlfriends, if not more, because
Mm.
he deserves to be worshipped, was
He sounds
his.
like a prize.
Definitely so awesome, right? And he just like, the verbal abuse, I was told I was fat every single day. I was told that nobody else is going to put up with this shit. Nobody wants to be responsible for you. Nobody's responsible for your happiness. And if you're that unhappy with me, why don't you just leave? But then on that same token, he'd be like, oh, so you're going to leave me now. You're going to leave me like everybody else does. And this was pretty much every day for 2 years. And he would choke me. I sent you a picture where he had choked me
Mm.
so hard that like all the blood vessels on my face had exploded. Um, he would just be very degrading to me. I think the sexual abuse was the worst part because I had already been in a relationship where I had been hit in
Mhm.
the late 2000s, and he knew that, and he just kind of like I'm not going to start crying. Sorry, just getting emotional here.
It's
And
okay.
he just kind of like pounced on that. And he was like, well, if you put up with that, then you're going to put up with this, because he knew I loved him. He knew I cared about him. I've got a really dumb, big heart, and I fall in love with people too fast. And I know that. And he just completely took advantage of that fact. And when he choked me, when everything on my face did that, that was kind of like the last straw. And I finally got the strength to leave. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire freaking life. And I still wanted to be friends with him. I still fucking miss him to this day, because we did have such good times together sometimes. But
Right.
I didn't know, like my mom told me, she's like, I was afraid he was going to kill you, because you'd come home and you'd have bruises on you and you'd be like, oh no, it's fine. We were having fun. And I'd tell people that like I ran into people, because I'm anemic, I bruise easily. And that was my excuse for everything. And he's local, unfortunately. So I still have to kind of be cognizant of where I am,
Mm.
because if he's there, I don't want to be in the vicinity where he is. And he's very vengeful and just not a good person. So it's, whew, the reason we're telling you this is because Manson is just the antithesis of this. He would never do anything like this to anybody. Like, that's not who he is as a person. And I know people just want to feed into the headlines, and they want to like believe, oh, well, he's the shock rocker and he writes these crazy, violent, angry songs. He just must be this person. So we're just going to believe everything that we're being fed by media. And they just don't care to look into the actual details and to speak to those of us that actually have experience with him as a person. So, I mean, I'm just glad that I'm able to come out and speak on his behalf and on behalf of women who are abused and who don't appreciate being lumped in with these women who are making up these absolutely sickening allegations that angers me as somebody who has actually been in that situation.
Thank you for saying that, and thank you for being willing to say that so strongly and to take a stand like that, because, I mean, I think that that's the thing that people need to understand is that, the people who are supporting Manson, a lot of them, like you, who are supporting Brian, because there's a real person there. The people who are supporting him, like you, a lot of these people do know what real violence is. Like you have extensive experience with that.
Right, right.
And what you said is so true about how these women who are exploiting Me Too and exploiting our concern for women, these women are hurting actual real survivors of abuse, and they're creating a very difficult environment for them, and we support the real survivors of abuse, but we don't support this absolutely sickening bullshit, this hoax, or what happened to Johnny Depp, or what is happening
Yeah.
to a number of men in this situation. Yeah, so I think that you sharing that, I know it was hard, but I think, and I appreciate that, but I think that you sharing that, I hope that really brings it home to people that you're not out here, you're not coming forward, you're not doing this interview, you're not speaking out because you're some like frivolous person who just wants media attention. I mean, you're not going to get much attention on my channel
Right.
anyway, right?
No, I think
Um,
it's a
if
good,
you
it could be
wanted,
a good
and
time.
this brings up a good point, if you wanted to get media coverage, if you wanted to get attention, then what you
I
would
could have gone to
do.
the other side. That's the one that got a
Exactly.
documentary.
As they tried to recruit you to do multiple times in multiple ways. And that was back before anyone knew what a giant clusterfuck this was going to turn into?
Yeah, that's the
So,
perfect term for
good
it.
thing for you, you were a good person and you didn't want to lie and didn't want to go along with that bullshit hoax, because you would be in a world of hurt now that the tables have turned and people are starting to see through it. But I really do appreciate that you didn't get on board with this, and that they weren't able to scam you into it, and they tried, in
They
several different
tried, man.
ways.
Yeah, there was just something in my soul that was like, don't fucking do this. Like, it's just not something I could live with. If I joining in the first place, I would not be able to
Right,
live with. But if I didn't speak up about what
right,
actually happened in the music video, I could not live with myself after that.
right. And I really appreciate you coming
Thank you.
forward and sharing your story. And again, it's just everybody, it's just one more credible voice being added to the chorus of people who have been coming forward and are coming forward with the truth about Manson. So thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for giving me a platform to do this.
And everybody, as always, if you found this interesting, if you want to know more about this case, I've got some links below. Check out my channel. I've done over 100 videos on this. And, hopefully more people are going to hear your story now, Vanessa. I know that when we originally did an interview, a year or so ago, whenever that
Yeah,
was, maybe it wasn't that long ago. It seems like forever. It was almost a year. I know that when we did that, the Depp Heard trial hadn't taken place. People were not aware of these kinds of Me Too hoaxes as they are now. And then
yeah,
also, when we talked, um, I'm sorry. And then also, this development with Ashley Morgan Smith line exposing this hoax that had not occurred. And so I'm hoping that now that we're getting your story out there again, people are more open to this and more people will be interested in it.
me
All
too. I
right.
hope it gets more treading and more, recognition this time because it's something that definitely needs to be recognized.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody, thank you. As always, like, subscribe, check out the links below. I do depend on your donations, and those links are below as well. And I'm going to have more videos for you on this topic. Marilyn Manson is innocent. Evan Rachel Wood did lie. We need justice for Brian Warner. Thanks.